this is Scott. Welcome back to Bourbon Beach. Let's see what we can find today. Oh, what do we got up here? Oh, Bourbon Beach comes through again. What do we got here, folks? Oh, wow. Peerless, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, small batch. Nice find. Let's get this back to the whiskey room and give it a try. Hi, this is Scott. Welcome back to the Bourbon Beach Whiskey Room and yet another show in the Bourbon Beach Treasures in the Sand series. What did we find this time? Peerless, small batch, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. How is it, you ask? Stick around and find out. Peerless, small batch, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey coming out of the Kentucky Peerless Distilling Company in Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville for you locals. It says here, with an unparalleled 100-year history, we preserve the quality surpassed by none, Peerless caliber standards set by ancestor Henry Craver. This rich and mellow small batch bourbon is distilled, bottled, and aged in the Louisville, Kentucky Bourbon District. It says right here it's a non-chill filtered bourbon. Now, chill filtering is when the bourbon is chilled to near freezing temperatures. It just removes some of the fatty acids, some of the proteins that will cloud up a bourbon. Now, this is non-chill filter, so it's left in all that syrupiness, those proteins that create that unctuous syrupiness and that thick mouthfeel. It also says strictly sweet mash. Now, this is a sweet mash, meaning the mash is used entirely fresh ingredients as opposed to sour mash, which is kind of like the sourdough concept. They use some of the old mash, put it into the new mash, and they claim it helps create a more consistent flavor. This is also barrel proof, meaning no water has been added, and the proof is 108.2 in this batch number 60. The mash bill on this is undisclosed. They don't state the mash bill, but I can taste the rye in this, so I'm going to guess that it's 18% or above. The MSRP on this is about $80 to $90, depending on where you live and how lucky you are. And these are the same people that make the delicious Peerless Double Oak. If you're a fan of oak, you got to try this if you haven't already. This is a real flavor bomb. Now again, these are sweet mash bourbons. There aren't many sweet mash bourbons out there. Peerless is one of them, and another one is Hard Truth. And if you like sweet mash, this one's delicious. This 4 grain, you got to try this one. But the sweet mash process is just basically a fermentation process where fresh yeast and grains are used in the fermentation process rather than adding some sour mash. In other words, mash from a previous batch into the new batch. That's sour mash. This is sweet mash. Okay, time to give it a try. Let's see what we've got. America. Probably should let this open up a little bit, but let's just go ahead and see how the nose is. It's not real dark, kind of medium in the darkness level. As far as the nose goes, pretty clean. You can really tell it's a sweet mash. It doesn't have any of that funkiness that a sour mash has, that fermentation smell. Not the most complex nose, slightly sweet. I'm getting a little bit of tobacco, maybe a little bit of citrus. So this may be a cigar bourbon. Again, not super complex. Maybe a little bit of light oak, very light toffee, kind of mild. Not the most complex nose. Let's see how the palate is. Not bad, medium viscosity, just what you would expect, mild sweetness. That tobacco note does carry over to the palate. Maybe a little hint of citrus. Other than that, it's just a pretty basic bourbon. Not quite as complex as the double oaked, but it's okay. I would say this is going to be my favorite bourbon, but it's an okay sipper. I mean, it's drinking right at 108 proof. Again, the tobacco notes coming out of it might make it a good cigar bourbon, but overall not bad. I mean, nothing unpleasant, but I think I'll probably switch gears and go back to the double oak. As far as the finish goes, it's not the longest finish. I would say what I'm tasting is rye and dry. The rye starts to come out in the finish and it kind of dries up on the palate. I would say just a medium long finish. Nothing too special about it, but nothing bad about it either. So, I mean, really, if this is your thing, go for it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite bourbons I've discovered in my journey so far, but it's not one of the worst ones. And again, this double oak really picks up where this one leaves off. So anyway, that's about all I've got for this one. It's an okay one, not too bad. Have you had this one yet? If not, give it a try. Let me know what you think of it. That's about all I've got for now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.